I still remember the exact moment the HOA president looked me in the eye and said, "Stop asking questions about the dirt pile." That was it. No explanation, no polite nod, just a flat warning delivered like he was swatting a mosquito. Can you believe the sheer audacity? It was so dismissive, it just lit a fire in me. 3 weeks later, I was on a rented mini excavator, engine rattling my ribs, carving up the back corner of my own lawn while the whole board watched from the sidewalk. Whatever they buried, I was going to find it, and I was going to make them regret the day they thought I'd look the other way. The cryptic warning. My Saturday had started normal enough. Coffee, dog walk, check the mail. Tucked between a grocery flyer and a coupon packet was a cream-colored envelope with the HOA letterhead. Inside, a single paragraph typed in 14-point Times New Roman. Recent unauthorized digging has been reported behind your residence. Refrain from further soil disturbance. Continued violation will result in fines up to $1,000 per day. No signature, no date, no photo evidence, just that robotic threat. Talk about vague and menacing. Who even writes like that? I've lived here 8 years. I've never dug so much as a post hole. I walked the fence line, saw nothing but the same patchy St. Augustine, and decided somebody on the board had confused my yard with the communal flower bed they actually maintain. I crumpled the letter, tossed it, and forgot it for about 6 hours. The internet rabbit hole. Curiosity got loud around midnight. I typed the name of our subdivision plus secret digging into a search bar and fell spine first into a forum thread from 2012. Post after post claimed our HOA used strategic landscaping to hide utility screw-ups, busted sprinkler mains, cracked sewer lines, even an entire forgotten fuel tank under the tennis courts. One guy wrote that when he asked questions, fines appeared like magic for things like improper wreath color and unapproved driveway reflection. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up, can you? It was truly wild. My screen glowed on my face at 2 a.m., and I realized the letter wasn't random. It was damage control. Whatever they did under my grass, they needed me to stay quiet. I went to bed equal parts furious and fascinated. The equipment rental. I'm not the guy who owns an excavator. I'm the guy who Googles how hard is it to operate a Mini-X. Turns out the answer is scary for 5 minutes, then addicting. At dawn, I was at the equipment yard signing a day rate contract and praying I wouldn't hit a gas line. Back home, I marked a rectangle 6 by 12 feet, the zone directly behind the HOA's letter. My neighbor leaned over the fence, coffee mug in hand. "You landscaping or burying bodies?" he asked. "Neither," I said, "just auditing." He raised an eyebrow, shrugged, and went back inside. I fired up the engine, heard the hydraulic whine, and bit straight into the earth. No turning back now, was there? My mind was made up. The first clue. 8 inches down, the soil changed color, from Florida beige to construction site brown, heavy with clay and flecked with white chunks that looked like crushed drywall. That's not natural. That's fill trucked in to cover something. My pulse ticked faster. I kept the bucket teeth level, skimmed off layer after layer, and felt the blade snag on metal. I shut off the motor, jumped into the hole, and scraped with a hand trowel like an archaeologist who'd just found the corner of a sarcophagus. What surfaced was a rusted 5-gallon paint bucket, lid still sealed under a fat ring of contractor caulk. Someone had gone to the trouble of weatherproofing whatever was inside. I hauled it out, set it on the grass, and stared at the ugliest piñata I'd ever seen. My heart was pounding. Honestly, I felt like Indiana Jones. The reveal. Inside the bucket were 3 plastic-wrapped bundles, a cracked PVC pipe junction coated in fresh blue primer, a stack of faded pool chemical invoices dated 2 years earlier, and a thumb drive sealed in a sandwich bag. The pipe explained the odd swampy patch that never dried no matter how little I watered. The invoices showed the board paid almost $6,000 for seasonal chlorine tablets right after the pipe broke, meaning they'd used my dues to cover a repair they never disclosed. The thumb drive? That was the grenade. I walked inside, laptop open, dog barking at my heels, and plugged it in. 1 video file, 90 seconds of our maintenance guy dumping white granular buckets directly into the stormwater inlet while someone off camera says, "Just get it below the concrete. Nobody checks these drains." Translation: they poisoned the runoff to kill weeds, violated half the EPA guidelines in the process, and filmed it like a proud tutorial. I was absolutely furious, my blood boiling with anger. I arrived at the HOA board meeting that night carrying the paint bucket like a gift basket from hell. 30 neighbors sat in folding chairs. The president stood at a lectern reading treasurer notes. Public comment came. I raised my hand, walked to the front, and set the bucket on the table with a metallic thud you could feel in the floorboards. "Found your dirt pile," I said. You could hear the AC unit humming. I laid out the pipe, the invoices, the thumb drive. I asked for an explanation. The president adjusted his glasses, claimed contractor miscommunication, and offered to refund my dues for the month, $200 like that was a mic drop peace treaty. Seriously? A $200 bribe for blatant environmental damage and deceit. I couldn't believe his gall. I laughed out loud, turned to the audience, and asked who else felt like auditing their mailbox. Half the room raised hands. Motion to vote on an independent audit. Seconded, passed, president red-faced, and gavel-less. The aftermath. Within a week, the board hired an outside accountant. Within a month, the treasurer resigned, the maintenance contractor got axed, and the president announced he would step back to avoid distraction. Translation: he knew the numbers were uglier than what I'd found. The pipe? Fixed by a licensed plumber and reported to the city. The swampy patch? Resodded with fresh zoysia on the HOA's dime. And the fines they threatened? Cancelled, expunged, never spoken of again like a bad dream. I stood in my yard one sunrise, coffee steaming, and watched sprinklers run without forming a marsh. Simple thing, but I felt like I'd personally rerouted a river. If you've ever been slapped with a fine that felt cooked up in some secret meeting, drop a comment describing the most ridiculous rule your HOA tried to enforce. I read every single one, and I have a feeling the creativity of power-tripping boards is unlimited. The larger lesson. Here's what I learned. Burying evidence on private property only works if the homeowner stays quiet, and quiet is one thing I'm terrible at. HOAs bank on people being too busy, too polite, or too scared to challenge a letterhead. But bylaws are public, dirt is diggable, and sunlight is still the best disinfectant. If they tell you to stop asking questions, congratulations, you've found the exact question they're afraid of. So don't ever let them silence you, okay? The unexpected bonus. City Environmental Services reviewed the thumb drive and slapped the HOA with a remediation notice for improper chemical disposal. Final cost to the association, $12,000 plus quarterly inspections for 2 years. My share as a dues-paying member? About $40 spread across annual budgets, but the value of watching transparency get forced on a secretive board? Priceless. I'm not anti-HOA. Covenants keep neighborhoods from turning into junkyard racetracks. What I am is anti-bullying, anti-secrecy, anti-we'll just cover a tan hope no one notices. Communities work when people treat each other like stakeholders, not subjects. And sometimes that means firing up an excavator and reminding the people in charge that the ground beneath our feet belongs to all of us, not just whoever controls the letterhead. If this story fired you up, hit like so the algorithm shows it to the next homeowner getting cryptic letters. Subscribe for more backyard justice, and share this with anyone who's ever wanted to dig up the truth, sometimes literally. Because when the people we pay to maintain our streets start treating us like trespassers on our own land, the only correct response is to grab a shovel and start